Hello and welcome to Backyard Cigars. Another day, another cigar, right? So they say. And today I have Tatuaje, 10th anniversary BELLE ENCRE. I believe that's the correct pronunciation. BELLE ENCRE or BELLE ENCRE. So this is a 10th anniversary cigar that was released by Pete Johnson, Tatuaje Cigars, back in 2003 to commemorate 10 years of being in the business of selling cigars. Now, 2023, I imagine, will bring about a 20th anniversary edition of another special cigar that I'm sure he will make available to us cigar lovers. It's got a very good draw and it's smooth. And what I've been picking up since I lit it, in the time that I've been smoking it, it has been leathery spice, is what I've been getting. Now, Tatuaje cigars are legendary in a lot of circles, and they have a following on of its own. Tatuaje is a cigar brand that, rightfully so, gives a lot of credit to Cigar Aficionado for putting it on the map or highlighting its great cigars. The idea of making a cigar by Pete Johnson, the owner of Tatuaje Cigars, was something that took a while for him because he knew what he liked. He loved Cuban cigars, crazy about them, and he wanted a cigar that would sort of emulate, not imitate, the finer points of a Cuban cigar. Sounds like a pretty good idea, but getting the right person to make that type of cigar for you can be a bit of a challenge. And so, as the story goes, Pete gave up his biggest love, music, to follow the love of cigars. Now, I gotta give Pete some credit here. This is a man that came from retail and worked his way up, really worked his way up, worked two jobs, really just dedicated everything he had to just everything about cigars. I mean, he just collected anything and everything about cigar information. He studied and studied everything he could about cigars. And finally, he found his way in connecting with the right people. And he connected with Jose Don Pepin Garcia from My Father Cigars. And the story goes, and you can all read it in Cigar Aficionados and various other YouTube videos, where he asked Jose Pepin Garcia to make him a cigar a bit on the stronger side. And Garcia made it for him. He still didn't like it. And then he pulls out a Cuban cigar. They go over the notes on the Cuban cigar. And of course, Jose, being from Cuba, it was very easy for him to get a good idea of what it was that Pete wanted in a cigar. And from that day on, Tatuaje Cigars was born, and they started rolling out quickly, as Pete himself says. And yeah, the name Tatuaje pretty much came from his love of tattoos, because he's covered in them and he's got cigar band tattoos all over his body. So it made perfect sense. A group of cigar people nicknamed him Tattoo Pete. One of them was Carlos Fuente, and it kind of stuck. So from there, he has also taken to naming a lot of his lines after old cigar brands from Cuba's heydays. And even today, in this Perfecto, which is 5 3/8 by 48 ring gauge, is a very classic shape of the olden days that harkens back to the 1880s and the 1890s when perfectos were the shape that you saw in the hands of a lot of folks. And particularly a lot of Cuban cigars were made in this perfecto shape. This perfecto vitola was very famous back then and has seen a resurgence in recent times. And for a lot of people, while the ring gauge isn't all there for them, because at 48 we're still below a robusto, but that's fine because it's just a classic vitola. I just love the way it feels. I mean, it's just got that classic look. The band on it is very classic looking. You know, it's not too many colors on it. You just got the brown and gold. But it's a smooth, velvety, hints of chocolate, um, hints of espresso coffee with some leathery spice. And it works well together. One of the things that I looked for when choosing a cigar for today, I said it's 43 degrees, 43, 44 degrees, a little over 50% humidity. And I said I need a cigar that has a wrapper that's going to be able to take, you know, the cold, because I don't want to get something too gentle. Ecuadorian Habano is hit or miss sometimes for me, but I figured my base is with the fire bringing me closer to 60 degrees if I'm smoking in this area. So I said, you know what, I can do the Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. And this sports a Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, binder and filler from Nicaragua. Again, 5 3/8 by 48. It's a cigar to be proud of if I'm Pete Johnson. And even if I'm not Pete Johnson, I'm proud. I was proud to have it in the humidor and proud to get it. I've smoked it before, and I've had this one in the humidor now for about a month and a half at 68 RH. So I've had it at a higher RH, but it's smoking wonderfully. Good draw, decent aroma. I'm not gonna write home about it, but it's decent aroma, and it's a smooth cigar, like I said before. So it makes it very easy to just kick back, medium body, medium strength, and it's not overly complex, at least not yet. But so far I'm finding it quite pleasurable. I mean, this cigar was introduced back in 2003, in the early 2000s, when his company was barely had, you know, really, it had accomplished some major milestones at that point, but it wasn't the Tatuaje that we know today that has all of these followers. You know, he came up the hard way, and he really took the long road to get to where he's at. Did he get some breaks with the Cigar Aficionado ratings? Sure he did, but let's look at it this way. He earned them as well, because his cigars, they've been legendary. A lot of his cigars have been the type of cigars that you remember very well, and for good reason. So I'm going to take another little break with this cigar, and I'll be right back. So you're Pete Johnson, and you're a newbie, familiar with the cigar industry and with some experience in the cigar industry, but it's not as if you owned a factory in the past or came from a family for a second, third generation where it's been in your blood, right? We've heard this story before. And you're looking for someone that can capture your vision, someone that can meet the profile standards that you have, that can satisfy your palate, because this is the type of cigar you want to put out. Now, this is a guy that worked in retail. He curated retail shops, and he knew what the customers liked, and he was on top of the changing tastes, the changing palate of the American consumer. So when he decided what kind of cigars he wanted to put out, he very well knew what it was that we as cigar smokers would enjoy. And he didn't take it lightly. He took it very seriously. Anyone can say, look, I've got $100,000, $200,000, go up to a cigar maker, whether he's famous or not, and say, look, I want you to make me a cigar so that I can put out, stamp my name on it or stamp my company brand on it and produce it and, sell it. We don't have to say that it's from you, or if you want me to do, I can. It's one of those things where you can do it, but how it's going to turn out, how it's going to be executed is a different story. We've heard the horror stories of a lot of cigar brands that came out, even working with well-known cigar makers, and just didn't make the cut, just didn't put out really satisfying cigars. But Pete Johnson said, no, Don Pepin, he's got the knowledge. He knows what I like, and he knows how to craft what I like. And I can be proud of putting my label on these cigars because I know that they're going to satisfy the consumer. He had his eyes on that. But he also had to have that knowledge, that insight into what makes a cigar special for us. And no one's perfect. I mean, you give me a cigar maker and you tell me if they have a spotless record. You don't find many unbeaten horses on this track that is called the Cigar Lovers Racetrack. People put their cigars out, and they do their very best most of the time, and they hope that the consumers will love them. Will we is the question. Gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, the essence of a pleasurable cigar, the core, is the blend. For me, it's the blend. J.C. Newman likes to say that the secret to a great cigar is aged tobacco. And I'm not going to argue with J.C. Newman. That man is an encyclopedia. And yes, you need some aged tobacco. How old? It varies. I mean, no one does, not everyone does Padron old, right? But you get some good, decently aged tobacco. You blend it right. Whether you're blending from Nicaragua, Mexico, Costa Rica, whatever it is that whatever nation you're choosing, but it has to work, because if it doesn't, there's no point to it. Then it's all just for show. You ever buy these sweaters that they say 90% wool, 10% cashmere? They're trading on the cashmere name, trading on that 10%, which will make very little, if any, difference whatsoever, but they're trading on it. That is not where you want to go if you want the true essence of the luxury of cashmere. And if you want the luxury of really good tobacco, whether it's aged tobacco from Nicaragua or aged tobacco from the Dominican Republic, the idea is to make it work in a blend where it will showcase and highlight all of the finer points of that tobacco. And you need people behind the scenes to really make it happen, because you can say, well, yeah, I think people will just roll up some of that Nicaraguan tobacco from Esteli because it's good. Well, what if we could make it better? What if we could do something to tweak it? Something different, to do something that no one else is doing. And I find that Pete is always looking for ways to do that. And a lot of other guys are too. But, I just like it when guys are thinking outside of the box. But at the same time, They're not shunning the traditional practices. They're not shunning the traditional values and views that the motherland of Cuba has to offer, or that someone like Jose Pepin will bring to the table. So it's a great collaboration. The smoke output is really good on this cigar. The draw has been fantastic from the start. It started off kind of leathery, and then it just developed, and it did transition. You know, you got that black coffee, you got the little wood notes, and that leathery spice that continued throughout. With in between, you got some sweetness. It was like a spicy sweetness, and it was this sweetness that was coming from the Nicaraguan tobacco, and it just really worked well. So again, the blend really worked well. Burn line's been good. I've had no need to touch it up. Some might say it might need a little touch up right now, but this is the first time that it's even come to mind. I want to thank all of you guys for watching my videos and putting up with me talking forever, and really just thanking all of you for the love of the smoke that you share, that binds us. And until next time, I say to you, more cigar loving people will come to appreciate what we as cigar folks in the cigar community have to offer, if they can just see how it brings us together. So I'm rambling, but I love you guys, and I love this cigar. I think it's great. And until next time, I'll see you on Backyard Cigars.